For Wolverine Radio, we are back at it this week. This is Week 6, Game 5 here with Wakeland Football Preview. Once again, guys, I'm Nick Coultz, but today, got a new guest with me. Michael Ramirez is out today, but I got Ty Yeager here in the studio with me. Ty, how you doing?
Doing really good, man. I'm excited for this game.
Homecoming week. Homecoming game should be a good one. Versus Little Elm Lobos, and we'll get into Little Elm in a second, but before that, let's talk about last week, Ty. A big win over the Liberty Redhawks, 44-36, and Wakeland really needed that.
You're completely right. They really needed that, especially going 1-1 in district. After a terrible loss against Lone Star, this win against Liberty was a huge win and big momentum swing.
Yeah, and the main thing was District 9-5A is so close. There's so many good teams within this district that these games where you face a team that's pretty evenly matched with you on paper, you have to win that. Teams like Liberty or Heritage, that we should expect to be really close games, which of course Liberty was. Wakeland obviously came out with the 8-point victory, which was huge for them, but when you play teams like Centennial or Lone Star or Frisco, the Colony, these are good teams that are hard to beat. So these other games, teams that are evenly matched, you have to win. But Ty, let's talk about the game versus Liberty. What did you like? What did you see in this Wolverines team that you liked?
I was really impressed by Mason Dorr. He threw for 242 yards and 3 touchdowns, and he was sacked 3 times, but that's his record this year for yards. He had a big game. He was able to spread the field, had 3 receivers that he always went to. He had Noah Anderson that actually was able to come up. He got 91 yards with 1 TD as well. Then Cole Hutchins, he didn't really perform, but he got valuable receptions with 3 receptions and 38 yards for average 12 per pass. And then Mason Dorr, he just had a lot to go to. He had a lot more receivers he was able to throw to, and resulting in more yards. And then as well, going to the running game, Cole Starnes was able to come back in a full recovery, and he ran for 128 yards and 13 attempts, and he even had 2 touchdowns in a returning game. So I saw it as a big game for Cole Starnes, and J.D. Dry did even better too, 227 yards and only 26 attempts. Only 1 TD, but the running game definitely put a hole in Liberty.
Well, no, I like what you said about Mason Dorr specifically, and you talked about his game this week, and I think he's been solid all year. Looking at his stats for this entire season so far, he's 48 for 75 completion percentage-wise, and that's pretty good. That's almost 2/3 of the passes, which isn't bad by all means. But he's thrown 634 yards, and what I like most about him, he's thrown 9 touchdowns to only 2 interceptions. So he's been solid all year for this Wolverines team, and as an inexperienced quarterback, even though he's a senior, it's his first year starting, he's been very solid, and he's propelled Wakeland to this. They're in 5th. Wakeland's in 5th in the District 9-5A standings right now. They're 2-2 overall, 1-1 in district play. But he's been solid so far. And Cole Starnes, I really like what you said about him because Jay Orjai is obviously the number 1 running back. But Cole Starnes, man, that kid could start on almost every district team's running back, and he's the backup for Wakeland, and he's absolutely phenomenal on this season so far. And he had a beast game on Friday, which drifts me into this week. The Little Elm Lobos, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. Little Elm's not that good. They haven't won a game yet. They're 0-5 overall. They're 0-3 in district play. And last week they got steamrolled by Lone Star 35-6. So they're not a very good football team. But again, in District 9-5A, there's no guaranteed victory. When you look at this Little Elm team, what do you like about them?
Their passing game is tremendous. Austin Carter, he has 711 yards. He's 3 for 5 in touchdowns and interceptions, but he's able to spread the field, which I really like. He has 3 different receivers that he goes to. Deshaun Gilbert, 224 yards on the year. C.J. Seal, 215 yards on the field. And Mari Johnson with the 162 yards. He has multiple receivers he can go to. The secondary needs to step up and cause those turnovers if they're going to stop this passing team.
Yeah, and absolutely. And I like how you talk about the Wakeland secondary because they've struggled a little bit throughout the duration of this season so far. Some games worse than others. Last week against Liberty, they played fairly well. Chris Nguyen had a great interception. And so this team was causing turnovers. This team was playing better. And Liberty scored a lot of their points because of their rushing game. Reggie Hubbard and Chris McFall and Dimitri Jones. That's why Liberty was scoring some points. But passing-wise, Liberty didn't really pass the ball much on this Wakeland team. So I was very impressed with how the secondary played when it comes to guarding their receivers, keeping up with the man in front of them, not letting them beat them on the outside. So I've been very impressed, or I was very impressed last week with how this Wakeland secondary played, and they're going to have to do that same thing when they play Little Elm, because Little Elm, like you just said, passes the ball much more than a team like Liberty does. And you mentioned that they have many receivers. Deshaun Gilbert as my player to watch this week when you look at this Little Elm team. Because, like you said, he has 224 yards for 2 touchdowns. But running wise, he also averages 10.2 yards per attempt. So he's one of those guys where you need him to run the ball, sure. You need him to run a route, sure. Chris McFall did that for Liberty, as did Reggie Hubbard. So there's a lot of teams that have those players, and that's very crucial within an offense. And a guy like Deshaun Gilbert for Little Elm, he does that, which makes Coach Kendrick Brown very happy and gives him a very reliable source. Now, drifting from Little Elm to Wakeland. What is Wakeland? You talked about the secondary. What else does Wakeland have to do if they want to come out on top on Friday to win homecoming? A game that they should win, but what are they going to have to do?
Again, they really need to stop that passing game. They've led over 300 yards this year, and they've allowed 170 points throughout the whole year. They just need to stop that passing game. The secondary does need to stand up. But Noah Anderson, who just got won the Aspire Player of the Week last week, he played a big role on offense and defense last week. He's gotten 1 interception on the year so far, and he's playing a big role in leading the secondary to becoming in big games. And another player to watch on defense is Tanner Uding, who's also another offensive and defensive type player. Tanner leads the team in tackles, and he even got a touchdown last week. And he's a very impressive player, both offense and defense wise. He's a good tight end, block for Mason Dorr, but he can also get open for easy passes.
Well, and I like how you talk about Noah and Tanner because you can look at their stats on the field, and they're phenomenal stats. But what I like most about those two is their off-the-field passion. This team is motivated. This team wants to win. This team wants to make the playoffs. They want to ascend to the top of the district standings. So, and these two players, these senior players, are two of the leaders of this team. So I really like that about those two. What I also want to talk about Tanner specifically is his role in offense. I think if Wakeland wants to continue to have success throughout the season, they have to play Tanner Uding on offense. Like you said, we talked about it in previous weeks. Michael and I have. Tanner only had 1 reception last year, and that's because we didn't throw him the ball. Wakeland never really gave him that chance on offense. He was strictly a linebacker or a blocking tight end. This year, you see him on the field more. In this last game, he had multiple receptions, and obviously, like you said, that long touchdown. And it's because Coach Marty Secord is getting him involved on the offense, and I really like to see that. I like to see Tanner Uding have a big role in offense. He's a beast. He's a stud. He's one of the best players on this team. And so when you have a guy like that, you have to take advantage of that. And him being on this offense is massive.
And he didn't even get a reception until against Liberty. He got 2 receptions for 68 yards. Those are his only receptions in the year so far. He's already surpassed his number of receptions last year. But if the Wakeland offense wants to really score, they need to go Tanner Uding on this. They need to use that tight end blocker to keep Mason Dorr in the pocket and at least get an open pass to Tanner for more touchdowns and beat this Little Elm team.
Absolutely, and you talk about how Tanner, his first receptions of the year came last game, and remember against Lone Star, he had that one that was in the end zone, which they called back. The ref said it wasn't a catch, which I won't comment on how I feel about that. But either way, every time you throw him the ball, he can make the play. You know, if you get him, if you hit him on the numbers or even anywhere in that general area, he's going to make the catch. But either way, my key to the game for Wakeland to win is score more points, or score the same amount of points as they have been doing. 44 against Liberty, that was tremendous. When they were down 14-0, they came right back with 30 unanswered points, finished with 44. I was very impressed with how this offense played. Before we wrap it up, I want to hear your final prediction. What's your score prediction and who wins on Friday?
Score's going to be hard. I will say Wakeland will beat Little Elm. I'm going to say it's a slightly closer game. I will say about 24-14.
24-14, a 10-point win. I like that. I am also going with Wakeland to win. I am going 42-21. I think Wakeland wins by 3 touchdowns this week. I just like how this offense is playing. They're playing very, very well, and even the defense is playing better, so 21 as I see in about that area. But just this Wakeland team, they have to win this game, and I don't want to say it's a guaranteed win, but with a team like Little Elm, you got to beat them. And if they can do that, and then get this win on homecoming, headed into the Colony, which is going to be a huge game, and we'll talk about that next week. If they can win this game, get to 3-2 in districts, and keep going up the standings, that's all Wakeland has to do, and they just got to keep rolling. Now, guys, we're Periscoping right now. Hello to all my Periscopers. Join us on Periscope every week. We do this every Wednesday or Thursday. Obviously, it depends on when we're in the class. You know, we're on an A-B schedule. But every Wednesday or Thursday is when we do this. So, guys, if you have Periscope, join us live at Nick Kuholtz. That's NickKucholtz. We're Periscoping live. For Week 6, Game 5, this was Nick Kuholtz with Ty Yeager on Wakeland Football Preview. Thanks for tuning in. Have a happy homecoming week and homecoming game, and hopefully Wakeland can pull out this win on Friday.